Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Extra Talk. We have today a Borough fan that's going to talk with us about Akpom, Chuba Akpom, our recent signing 2 weeks ago from Middlesbrough, of course. There's so many things that were written about this player. A lot of people telling us a lot about this player. He had an incredible season last season. He just recently won the award, by the way. It was also shown on Twitter. Or X nowadays, sorry. Jonny, welcome to the show and welcome to the podcast. Great having you. We have so many questions to ask you, to be honest.
Okay. I'm excited to hear about these questions, but I'm more excited probably to chat about Chuba as well. Like, what a season he had at us last year, and it's so nice to see him get that move as well. So, yeah, I'm excited to chat about him.
Look, before we start with the questions, something we always do on this channel is if we have new guests, we always ask them how you became a fan of a certain club. Like in your case, it's Middlesbrough. So where's the love of Middlesbrough? How did it evolve in your case?
I was born to be a Middlesbrough supporter, to be honest. Family, generations all support Middlesbrough. From days at Ayresome Park, from the 40s and 50s, like from my family were going to those games, and they've just grown up all the way through to now. And I've been supporting Middlesbrough for a good 27, 28 years now. So it feels like a long time, a lot of ups and downs in that time. Seeing some amazing cup runs, some great players, of course. And over the last few years, we have been in the second tier, but it's been fun. And it hasn't been the heights of what we've had in maybe like the noughties of 2004, 2006 playing in Europe, winning trophies. But it's still quite enjoyable. It's in the blood, right? So you've got to support in. Hopefully, as I pass the generation on, they'll support Middlesbrough as well.
If my memory, I have to be careful here because, but if my memory serves me correct, did Robbie Fowler play for you guys back in the day?
No, he didn't. No, never.
Wasn't that Robbie? Or was it?
There's one player that I
confusing a player. Or was it? Wait, it was Juninho. It was Juninho. Yeah. I'm sorry. Sorry for that. It was Juninho.
Yeah, no. Juninho is a hero on our parts, to be honest. But there's so many good players we've had over the years, like Juninho, Southgate, Mendieta, Hasselbank, Viduka. There's been some amazing players that have played for Middlesbrough. So,
Viduka as well? I remember him from Leeds, to be honest.
Yeah, so he came was about 2004. And then it was just unreal forward, man. Honestly, just the way he used to hold up, like pivoting. You don't see many strikers like Mark Viduka, man. You don't.
But there's one player that I remember from your UEFA Cup run, 2006 or 2005. I remember you playing Sevilla in the final, and there's one player that always sticks in my mind is Massimo Macaroni, because I thought, what a name that was, like, and that's the first time I really saw Middlesbrough. And I knew who he was because they was all over the TV for getting to the final, right? So
yeah, Macaroni, man. Like, honestly, like, he was his 2 goals in the quarterfinal and the semi-final when we had to come back twice from like a 3-goal deficit to win 4-3 on aggregate is absolutely insane. So he got us there, and then just what a name as well. And if you haven't seen the goals against Steaua Bucharest and Basel, then I would 100% go and watch them because they're amazing.
Coming back to what you said about the whole family since the 50s, etc. So nobody dared to go the other way, because sometimes you hear, like, I've done this quite a lot. And you always hear like, oh, wait, like my uncle or my father is this, or my mother is this, so I went with this. It's not in your family.
A couple of family members support Newcastle, but I feel like I've disowned them a little bit. You don't really want to speak to them, but mainly Middlesbrough. So it's a local town, if you're from the area, you're probably going to support Middlesbrough, unless it's like passed down where someone might support Sunderland or Newcastle, or you'll see someone support a random Manchester United fan somewhere. But it's mainly Middlesbrough from around this part.
Perfect. Look, let's talk about the player, Akpom.
Yes.
I'm really curious. We are really curious to hear from you about this player. My first question to you would be, what can you tell us, in terms of his profile as a player, but also as a person? Because we always talk about players, but how do you know a little bit like how he comes across, how he is in a group, et cetera, et cetera? So those 2 points, if you could.
Yeah, absolutely. Firstly, Chuba's lovely. Such a nice human being. We were really fortunate on my podcast, Bro Breakdown, just to have a chat with him at the end of the season. You know, he's just come off the back of an unbelievable campaign. He's broke so many records, and he sat down and spoke to us about his time. And we say now there was like 2 Chuba Akpoms that day. The Chuba Akpom off camera and Chuba Akpom on camera. The on camera is the professional footballer, you know, will give the answers that you need to get sometimes, but off the back, like offline, like really nice. So it was like really into trying to getting to know who we were as people, why we support Middlesbrough, like asking about our support. He spoke to us about our podcast as well and stuff that we spoke about during the season. And called us out on it as well, because we have like something called a knee slide club, where if you do a really good knee slide, we'll rank it. And we didn't say that he had the best one, and he called us up on it. So that was quite funny, but just a really nice, humble guy who's worked really, really hard over the last 12 to 18 months to get into a position where he's joined Ajax. At the start of last season, he was pretty much an afterthought, to be honest. He was at PAOK on loan, and it was like necessity that got him back into the team because we didn't have another striker. Chris Wilder needed someone to lead the line, and Chuba came in now just out of sheer desperation and hit the ground running and was brilliant for the first few games, then got injured and then came back when the Michael Carrick took over and just went on this amazing streak of scoring goals. And professionally, really, really good. So dedicated to his craft and wanting to continuously improve himself, and off the pitch as well, just a really humble guy and is really willing to have a conversation with a fan and get to know them as well. So you've got a really good human being in Chuba Akpom to join Ajax. So I hope that is singing his praises as much as I possibly can, but he was brilliant with us. So all I can say is really positive things.
Awesome. Luke, do you want to take a question or ask a question? Or
Yeah. So obviously, I've seen that Michael Carrick likes to play a specific way. So a lot of the times that could lead to Akpom playing as a 10, but he also has the attributes of a striker. Very powerful, scored quite a few headers as well from some late runs to the back stick and things like that. How is he technically when he has to play as a 10? Can he change from being a goal scorer and prolific to being a creator as well? And how does he gel with the other players in the team? Is he more of an unselfish player, team player, wants to only get goals when he can, or is he quite wants to get all the goals and less of a team player?
You've got a really good team player in Chuba. I think the beauty of what he brought last year was that he was really playing as a supporting striker /10 role, where he tried to come into the midfield, bring players out of position, get in a nice little spaces and try to bring players in. A lot of our player last year did go through Chuba. If we were able to find him in like the half space or in just a little pocket where he's able to bring our left back and Ryan Giles at the time into play, or our right winger, and just create space and opportunities for them. He's definitely a team player on that front, and I think the number 10 role the supporting striker role really suited him to a T. I think it's actually probably better for him than actually a number 9 role. But he'll score goals in the box as well. You know, he created plenty of chances for himself. You know, he was able to do it himself, but also get in really good positions. And I think what he will do is we'll spend plenty of time with the coaching staff and watching the current players at Ajax to see how they play, how do they get crosses in the box, what does their movement look like, and just really start to piece things together, and hopefully that can benefit his game as well. So really brought a lot of players into the game, created his own chances, really good in the box. Best position-wise, I would probably say that a supporting striker and number 10 role is where he's going to be best suited for Ajax, hopefully, especially with you guys playing more of like possession-based style. I think it really suits him to a T, to be honest.
You alluded to the fact that, he exploded that season, last season. He basically exploded for you guys because he was brought in as a necessity, and then he showed what he's really capable of. You guys signed him in 2020. I think he officially was 3 seasons with you guys. With 1 season, he was loaned out. So can you tell us a little bit about how those seasons went? I mean, I know about last season. Everybody is talking about last season. But you haven't seen him in Greece, I suppose. But how was the first season? Let me put it this way.
Chuba Akpom didn't suit our previous manager's style of play, or previous managers. So we had Neil Warnock in charge at the time. If you haven't seen Neil Warnock football, it's very long ball into the channels. Your striker doesn't get many touches. And I think it's actually, he hasn't got a striker that's never hit like 15 goals in a season. something like that. It's like I'm on the lines of that, so don't take that as a soundbite. But it's a case of his strikers don't score many goals. His team just isn't suited to what Chuba's. He's not a hold-up striker by any means. He did score goals on his debut and a couple of games in, and just the style of football just didn't really suit him. And when something doesn't suit you, and then you've got COVID season as well, that is a very, very difficult time to join a club in general, isn't it? Right. So he fell out of favour with Neil Warnock, and a lot of strikers do. So it's not really a bad thing, to be honest. And he went out on loan and went to PAOK, and he's shown from his career that he can play in the Europa League, he can play in the Champions League, and he can play, and he's quite comfortable at that level. And he's came back to us, and he wasn't, like I said, he wasn't really part of our plans. Chris Wilder, for whatever reason, didn't really look at him, and it was like out of necessity, and he came in and just hit the ground running and was just amazing last season. It's such a Cinderella story, that what he's done over the last 12 months. But the previous couple of years, I don't really think that you can take that into account. I think he found a system and a manager last year who really believed in him, suited his style. And I think this will hopefully happen again for Ajax, to be honest. I think the style of football that you guys play is what he's grown up with as well. Arsenal pedigree as well. Real possession-based style. So the similarities there, the similarities for what Middlesbrough were trying to play last year in terms of combination play and trying to get forward. I just think it's a really good fit. The previous couple of years, from where I would ignore that, I would look at it the last 18 to 24 months, and that's the play you've currently got.
What has impressed you the most about him that season? Probably you will say goals, but any other stuff that made you, maybe also the Middlesbrough fans go like, wow.
You know what? His goals wasn't actually the most impressive thing last year. Okay. It was actually the ability to bring players in, the likes of Giles, the likes of Cameron Archer, who played up front with him, the likes of Aaron Ramsey. Between the four of them, they contributed 66 goals last year. So letting goal contributions. So they really contributed to how good Middlesbrough were last year. And hilariously, we've got none of them now. So we're starting all over again. But his ability to bring players in, to find space, is really, really strong. And to play on the half turn and get at teams is really, really good. If you can play to his feet in tight positions, I think you've got a good player there as well. So there's a lot of things that he brings in. I think it's that selflessness and to try and bring the team around him. That is probably his best trait, I think, or especially what we've seen over the last 12 months. But obviously the goals will take more of that into account, getting in the box, finishing chances. That's what every striker that's what you want from your striker, right? But his just ability, an all-round player last year was just super. It's probably one of the best I've seen in the Borough shirt for a long time.
There's obviously will be a lot of Ajax fans watching this video, so and they'll be very interested to see Akpom when he finally plays. But would you be able to give me 3 strengths that you think are his main strength, and then 3 things that you think may be his main weaknesses, just to get everyone a bit more excited that are cautious about the transfer?
See, I don't think you should be cautious about the transfer at all. I really don't think you should. I think you should be confident in it, and hopefully he gets the time to adapt. But the 3 strengths, off the ball movement, finishing, and game. I would say game knowledge, understanding the game. I'd say those are the three things that really stood out for me last year. 3 things he has to work on. There was some times where teams would obviously have 2v1s and 3v1s and try to zone him out of the game. So try to keep him involved as much as you can. I think the more sometimes where you don't play through him and you try to play through different means is where you might not get the most out of him. But there's going to be quality all over this Ajax side. So it kind of takes the burden off him a little bit. Defensively, he's not amazing, but name a striker that is amazing defensively, to be honest. But he will contribute defensively to the team. So if you haven't, without the ball, he'll try and hold up the shape and try to make things a little bit more difficult, but he's not particularly amazing at that. But given you'll have more of the ball, I don't think that'll be too much of a problem. And I think that's pretty much it. There is many weaknesses to what Chuba brings, especially technically as well. I think he's just an all-around good player. I'm very intrigued to see how he does, but I don't think that it's going to be a bad transfer at all for Ajax at all.
That's good to hear. I heard, by the way, I don't know if it's true, but he's 2-footed as well.
Yeah, he's 2-footed. He's definitely more right-footed focused, but he's very comfortable on his left. He's got a few goals last year with his left foot. Comfortable with it, is able to turn all the attributes that you need to work on your weak foot. He definitely has, and he's definitely comfortable on that. But I would definitely say he's more right dominant. Definitely more right dominant than he is left, but very comfortable on the left hand side.
Yeah, looking at his compilations a little bit also, because of course that's the first thing you do, right? When you hear about a player you don't know about. I saw a lot of headers as well, like he scores with his head. So apart from that perspective, how is his, like, because you said defensively he's not that player, he's more an attacking player. Let's say he has to go into a aerial duel, because you also said he's not the player that holds up the ball. We don't usually play long balls, although to be honest, we're not sure now because our coach does want us to play a bit more long ball, but that's more like because we want to make deep runs, so not just to hold it. But in general, like if there are aerial duels, like if you have set pieces and stuff, is it somebody that can be a threat or not really, in your opinion?
Not particularly. I think from an attacking perspective, he gets in the right place at the right time and is able to really calculate his run to get on the end of it. So I think there's a couple of goals which you might see in this compilation of where Giles whipped the ball in, it's pretty much the edge of the box and he heads it in. Like there's like really good a good partnership with the players around him, so he's able to kind of use that to his strength. In terms of like an aerial duel, like standalone, not particularly amazing, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's like you just work into your strengths. I think the problem we had under Neil Warnock when he first arrived to what Michael Carrick was doing is that Neil Warnock was trying to get really like high balls into the box, back post or try to flick ons, and that just didn't suit him. Whereas this was more low cross into the box or the occasional header, and it would work to him. We always said on our podcast when he first joined, try and get the low ball into the box because that's where he's a bit of a fox in the box. He's making really good movement, but we're just not finding him. But whereas this year we did find him, he was able to contribute really well. But yeah, that aerial duel, if you are being nitpicking and you're trying to kind of find these weaknesses, that's probably one way. It's not as a strength.
Yeah.
No, it's not saying like it's a nitpick, but it's just saying it's a.
I'm just trying to understand the whole concept, right, of the player. And I have one more thing that I also wanted to ask you, because you smiled when I said I was watching compilations, which also shows all the good things, right?
Yeah.
A lot of goals, of course. We already touched upon that last season. How efficient was he, like in front of goal? Is he somebody that like doesn't need a lot of chances? Because right now we have a striker, young striker still, who is really good. He plays really well, can hold up the ball, can do a lot of things, but he misses a lot of chances right now still. And we're hoping that will develop with age. But how is Akpom in that area?
He was really efficient last year. Really efficient. We were very fortunate last year to have two strikers in Cameron Archer and Chuba Akpom, who were pretty much in that 99th percentile of strikers who were just able to pretty much finish most of the chances they had in front of them. And that is very, very unrealistic in football, right? It's like playing on FIFA. We were very, very good last year at finishing chances. He did sometimes need 2 or 3. He wasn't perfect. That's the reason why he's playing the Championship, right? But very, very good. I think it was a goal every 110 minutes or something last year that Chuba Akpom was scoring. So if you create the chances, and I'm very sure that Ajax will create plenty of chances in a game, he's going to score a chance. He's going to take at least 1 or 2 say if he had 5 chances in the game, he's going to take 3, probably 2 or 3 of them. So fingers crossed that works. I hope I haven't cursed him on that aspect, but yeah, his ability to finish chances last year was really, really good, and that's shown as well. Like 29 goals last season, best he's ever had in his career, the best that we've seen since the 80s, and it was just a really special season, and he deserves all of the accolades and the trophies he's getting right now because he put the effort in to get to this point right now. So it's very, very positive on my end.
Okay, I have one more, the last one.
Yeah.
So we have a new director of football who was appointed at the start of the transfer window, Sven Mislintat. And what he's doing is very unique, and he's getting a bunch of questions. Actually, there was a press conference today. We're recording a little bit on Wednesday now, but a lot of questions about why are you buying so many different players, and also players that don't have like a particular track record, no established players, etc. So when it comes to Akpom, right? Do you understand, not only you but also the fans, when Ajax was linked with him and now we signed him? Did it make sense to you? Does it make sense to you?
You know what? I was a little bit shocked that Ajax came in for him, mainly just due to the nature of the club, really. Like Ajax, what a massive football club. Like, it's what the biggest club in Holland. And it was kind of like wow, this is such an amazing move. And then secondly, like, if he doesn't take this move, then he's an idiot. Like it was kind of one of those. So it was a bit strange, but if you look back and look at the philosophy and how Ajax have played, like, and Cruyff and all that, and you go, the philosophy's there, the style of football's there. Yes, you're playing a little bit more long, but that's coming more back into fashion again, isn't the long ball? So that's going to play a part to some extent. So does he fit the profile of the club? He pretty much does on paper. Like the way that we played last year and the similarities that you guys have, there's a lot of he will probably fit that profile. But was I shocked when Ajax came in? Absolutely, I was. I was like, probably the club I didn't expect him to go to in the summer was probably Ajax, and he's gone there. So, but it's an amazing move for him, honestly. Like, he'd have been so stupid not to go, to be honest. And it'll take time. I think he'll take time to maybe bed in. But once he's bedded in, I think you've got a really good player in your hands. But yeah, it was a bit of a shock. But interesting to see what direction you guys go into as well. If he's bringing loads of different types of profiles, then surely there must be a reason longer term as to why you're doing that, right? So we'll have to see on that front. But good profile. He's a good profile for Ajax for sure.